Innovation for us is much bigger than technology. It is about how do you as a company prepare for the future, making sure that you are still relevant and you still exist in 5, 10, 15 years' time. And if you are not innovative, you might not exist in the future. So innovation means doing things differently, preparing for the disruption that's coming. Because if you are not disrupting, you will be disrupted. And so it's critical for any company's future planning and in strategy to make sure that they embrace innovation across the whole company. The whole smart cities concept is driven pretty much from a technology perspective. And I think it is important that as the African continent, we start defining what does a future African city look like before we get into the technology. We see too often that a lot of these discussions, these narratives are driven by the technology. And it's very important that we have this new narrative, this new social compact about what a future African city looks like. How does an African city differ from a city in the West? And what technology do we need then to support that future African city? And we see too often technology innovation implemented and brought into Africa that's not appropriate, not relevant for our cities, and not through the lenses of Africa. So it is important that we have that higher level discussion around a future African city and see how does technology support that. I think there's some very exciting stuff happening on the African, and those pockets of innovation is coming out, and it's coming out in very creative ways. And it's about how do you pull those resources. I think in South Africa we have this huge problem that there are many incubators, many startups, but how do we bring all of that together? How do we coordinate that? And that's not been done well. So it's about coordinating all those efforts and energies that everyone is putting into driving startups in a more coordinated way. The other thing that we need to do as corporate South Africa is invest more into R&D. As a country, we've started to lag behind. It's a major problem. Corporate South Africa needs to come to the party and make heavy investment into R&D. R&D is one of those things that provides a massive return on investment for business. And we see the most successful companies in the world have huge R&D budgets. So that is one of the challenges that I think as a South African private sector we need to strongly look at. So when it comes to smart cities, it's not about trying to catch up with the West. It's about saying we need to rewrite the narrative around African cities and shape that from an African perspective and through an African lens.